The 13 most common marriage issues and how to overcome them. Yeah, all couples go through crises, whether big or small. Some divorce 2 or 3 years after getting married, while others make it well into their golden years together. So, what's the secret to living happily ever after in marital bliss? We've checked with the world's leading marriage counselors, and they've laid out 13 of the most common issues couples face and how to overcome them. But before we get into that, use this opportunity to get your permanent front row seat to the bright side of life. All you gotta do is subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified of our daily updates. Number 1. Excess weight. In 2017, researchers at the University of Glasgow figured out that the average newlywed gains about 3 to 5 pounds within the first year of married life. And in general, married people weigh 13 pounds more than singles. Experts put the weight gain down to the state of psychological comfort that comes with being in a stable long-term relationship. How to battle the post-wedding bulge? Well, the best way to get back into shape is to ride a bike, swim, or go for evening walks. And if you do it together, it's even better, because you'll always have a person next to you, sharing in your striving for a healthier lifestyle and being your personal cheerleader. Number 2. Financial problems after having kids. Surveys held by NerdWallet, a creditable online financial advice tool, showed that couples are almost always unprepared financially to have kids, and it doesn't depend on the size of their paycheck. Both middle-class and lower-income families face a lack of money after having children. The solution is simple. Start saving money long before the birth of your first child, and be smart with your purchases. For example, it'll be much cheaper to get a used stroller, crib, clothing, and other necessities versus buying them brand new. Plus, going for second-hand items makes a whole lot of sense from a financial point of view, because kids outgrow their things faster than you think, like in a couple months. Number 3. Conflicts with the mother-in-law. How many stories and jokes have you heard about the dreaded mother-in-law? Psychologists say that the tension is especially strong between wives and their mother-in-law. Dr. Evelyn Duvall's research showed that 67% of mothers-in-law were not satisfied with their son's wife, while 75% of daughters-in-law didn't like their husband's mother. Uh-oh. What's worse, all this negativity and tension is bad for both sides. Scientists working at leading universities in Japan and the US have found that women living with their in-laws, whether mother or daughter, have 2 to 3 times higher risk of developing coronary artery disease. Ma, you're killing me. The best way to avoid conflicts with your in-laws is to live separately. And if you don't have the opportunity or means to live independently, always keep communication open, honest, and polite. Explain to your mother or daughter-in-law what it is that they're doing that upsets you so much. Once you can identify the problem, you can work together on solving it civilly. Number 4. Conflicting spending habits. According to statistics, conflicts over money are one of the biggest marriage killers. Financial education company Ramsey Solutions interviewed over 1,000 American adults on the topic and came to the exact same conclusion. After the wedding, your personal finances become joined, which can get really stressful for many, especially if one spouse earns more than the other. Unfortunately, many couples tend to avoid talking about finances until all that resentment builds up to the point of exploding into an argument. Financial experts recommend doing just the opposite. Do not be shy about discussing your financial issues. You need to set priorities. Will your family save money or invest it? Are you planning to make any home repairs or go on vacation next year? Answering such questions will help you determine the financial strategy your family will have for many years ahead, putting a lid on the chaos and ineffective shouting. Number 5. Getting annoyed at each other's hobbies. Hours spent playing video games, watching sports, browsing social media, or working on some craft project, surprisingly, those hobbies that attracted you to your partner in the first place can start to annoy you after some time. Psychologists are sure that it happens with many couples, but it doesn't mean that your love is over. In fact, a partner that engages in their own personal interests is a good thing, but we'll get more into that here in a bit. So, what can you do in this situation? Easy. Let it be. Don't allow yourself to feel jealous that your significant other is interested in something besides you. If you get irritated or jealous of their passion for a certain hobby, perhaps you need to find one for yourself. Which brings us to our next point. 6. Spending all your time together. There's a misconception that spouses should spend all their free time together because it strengthens the relationship and helps build common interests. While you absolutely should do things together for this reason, you don't need to spend all of your time in each other's company. Otherwise, you risk getting sick of each other real fast. Remember, both partners are still individuals in this union and should have their own hobbies and me time. Unlike being constantly stuck to each other's hip, spending your free time separately and having your own interests will strengthen your relationship. 7. Forgetting about important dates. When your partner forgets your anniversary, the day you first kissed, or whatever other important date, it can be saddening because it feels like this person doesn't care about you or your relationship. Turns out, even perfect people forget about important things. It can be due to work overload or natural absent-mindedness. It can also be because those dates aren't actually that significant for your spouse because the most important thing in their life is your relationship and not marks on the calendar. If you want your partner to remember certain dates that are important to you, just remind them. It'll help you avoid disappointment, and your partner won't have to feel bad for their absent-mindedness. 8. The boredom of routine. As much as you wish for your honeymoon phase to last forever, marriage doesn't really work that way. Sooner or later, despite expectations, the flowers, romantic evenings, and flirty conversations get replaced with mundane routine. And that's because, over time, the love between two people becomes more like the kind you have toward your family versus the thrill and passion you feel with a new lover. Plus, married people's priorities differ from those who are newly in love. They have a common household, a mortgage, and perhaps children. So, romantic dates or special events need to be planned around these responsibilities. Psychologists say there's nothing unusual about it, since family life is all about sticking to a certain schedule and distributing duties. Gail Prince, co-author of Soul Dating to Soul Mating, recommends planning dates and romantic outings in advance. It'll help you keep that spark in your relationship. 9. Bad friends. Not only do newlyweds get new relatives, they get a whole slew of new friends as well. In a new marriage, it might seem like friends take up too much space in a family's life, or that they influence your partner in a bad way, especially when you don't like your spouse's friends for one reason or another. No matter how difficult it might seem, let your significant other have a best friend who's not you, and don't see them as competition for your partner's attention. Sociologist Dr. Jeffrey Greif is sure that married couples need to have friends. And this isn't just about mutual friends you have together, but ones from childhood and work too. Don't criticize the personality of your spouse's friend that you don't like. Criticize their actions instead. Try to become their friend too, or at least civil and open-minded. After all, first impressions can often be wrong. Let your partner have friends aside from you, and you do the same. Number 10. Different sleeping regimens. Way back in the 70s, scientists learned about circadian rhythms and the fact that certain people are morning birds while others are night owls. So what if these polar opposites decide to create a family? This union can cause some inconveniences, but it's really nothing to worry about. As long as you manage to find a compromise, your marriage will be fine if one of you is more active during the day while the other is at night. For example, take advantage of the time your spouse is asleep and use it to do something useful for the family or your hobbies. Experimental psychologists and sleep researchers Dr. Frederick Brown and his wife Dr. Cynthia Lejambi have tested this approach themselves and recommend it to others. 11. Unequal distribution of household chores. Despite the fact that we've made great strides in becoming a progressive society in the 21st century, gender stereotypes about who does what in the family are still pretty prevalent. A woman is expected to keep the house cozy, even along with her full-time job, while a man must bring home the bacon. Of course, this is old-fashioned and impractical nonsense that can lead to conflicts and unreasonable expectations. What you should do is divide the housework in the most effective way, possibly depending on the situation. If your wife is working overtime today, go ahead and get dinner started. If he cooked today, why not take care of the after-dinner dishes? Just help each other out. It's as easy as that. And if you have the financial means, don't forget to take full advantage of the amazing technology we have nowadays. A dishwasher and a Roomba will make both your lives a lot easier. Set up auto payments for your bills so you don't have to fight about whose turn it is or who forgot to pay what. Number 12. Petty arguments. You know how it goes. Early in a relationship, even your partner's little faults and strange habits seem cute to you. But after a few months of living together, you couldn't possibly be more annoyed by them. How they eat, walk, brush their teeth, close doors. The pettiest little things can spark the most outrageous arguments and criticisms. If your home has become a battlefield, it's high time to reevaluate your priorities. Don't try to change your partner over trifle things. If you're really concerned with, for instance, their portion sizes, instead of name-calling and eye-rolling, why not explain to them that you're worried about their health? Patience and respect for your partner's feelings are the things that will get your marriage out of a crisis and put an end to petty arguments. 13. Checking out other people. Oh, do your partner's eyes wander whenever you're out in public? Should this spark a huge scandal, or is it nothing to worry about? There's no single answer to this question. Some people feel really hurt and self-conscious when their spouse checks out other men or women, while others couldn't care less. Marriage counselor Dr. Kurt Smith says a lot of his male clients claim it's purely just a habit, and looking at other women does not mean they want to cheat on their wives. But still, if you don't like that your significant other has a habit of checking out other people, don't keep your concerns to yourself and inform your partner of your dissatisfaction. Don't turn it into a huge fight full of insulting accusations either. Again, opening an honest and civil dialogue will accomplish a lot more than name-calling and screaming. So, are there any other marriage issues you'd like to add to this list? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a like if you've learned something from it, and click subscribe to stay on the bright side of life.